Hello, my name is Ernesto Gonzalez, and this is my presentation for the class Data Mining and Predictive Analytics. My case study is training deep neural networks using a noise adaptation layer. The agenda, we have an executive summary, problem, key challenge, solution, implementation, and possible alternative solution. The performance of deep neural networks can be affected by the existence of noisy labels in the training data. To correct this issue, these are the main solutions. First one, directly training noise-robust models on unclean data. Second one, detecting noisy labels before training. And third, we have label noise-tolerant algorithm. In this study, the research team applied the expectation maximization algorithm to find the parameters of both the network and the noise and estimate the correct level. Experimental results demonstrate that this approach performed better than previous methods. What is the problem? The presence of class label noise inherent to training samples has been reported to deteriorate the performance of even the best classifiers in a broad range of classification problems. Noise labels also tend to be more harmful than noisy attributes. Noisy data are usually related to the data collection process. Typically, the label used to train a classifier are assumed to be unambiguous and accurate. However, this assumption often doesn't hold since labels that are provided by human judgment are subjective. As we can see in this picture, we have to the left a true positive label for Ladybug and for Honda Accord sedan. In the middle, in blue, we have a synthetic label noise generated by a computer, and to the right, we have a real well-labeled noise. And as you can perceive in this picture, sometimes it's not easy to get an accurate classification because some of these pictures could be very subjective and could be misinterpreted by humans, which are the ones classifying these pictures. To get a real data with all the correct labels, oftentimes is very expensive. That's why we need to find ways to address this problem without the need to use experts to classify the data, which could be very expensive and very time-consuming. Finally, we can say that many of the largest image datasets have been extracted from social networks. These images are labeled by non-expert users, and building a consistent model based on a precise label training set is very tedious. Mislabeling examples have been reported even in critical applications such as biomedical datasets where the available data are restricted. That's why it's very important that we could develop methods that can handle these cases. What was the key challenge encountered by the researchers that conducted this study? A very common approach to noisy datasets is to remove suspect samples in the preceding stage or have them relabeled by the data expert. However, these methods are not scalable and may run the risk of removing crucial examples that can impact small datasets considerably. Then, which was the solution found by the research team? They noticed that when the observed label is noisy, we can view the correct label as a latent random variable and model noise process by a communication channel with unknown parameter. Therefore, they apply the expectation maximization algorithm to find parameters of both the network and the noise and estimate the correct label. In this study, they presented a neural network approach that optimizes the same likelihood function as optimized by the EM algorithm. The noise is explicitly modeled by an additional softmax layer that connects the correct labels to the noisy ones. This scheme is then extended to the case where the noise levels are dependent on features in addition to the correct labels. In the diagram, we can see the architecture for the training phase and the test phase. How they implemented their solution. The network was implemented in Python using Jupyter notebooks, and it was run in Unix via bash commands. The Faculty of Engineering of Bar Ilan University in Israel was the one involved in the implementation of the solution. The two hidden layer neural networks comprised of 500 and 300 neurons was used. The nonlinear activation used was preloop, and it was used dropout with parameter 0.5. The network was trained using Adam Optimizer with default parameters, which it was found to coverage more quickly and effectively than SGD, and it was used a mini bash size of 255. In this URL, you can find the source code for use in this study. And this picture is a representation of how could look the neural networks. Of course, this one doesn't have all the neurons in each one of the layers, but this is the main idea. The first one we have 500, and the second one we have 300 neurons. One of the datasets used to test the model was the MNIST dataset, which is a collection of images representing numbers written by hand. It is very interesting to notice how these images are stored in the computer and what is happening behind the scenes. As we can see here, we have this picture of this 8, which is 28 by 28, 784 pixels. And what is this? Well, we have a matrix of numbers, and each one of these numbers is representing a value in the grayscale. Because at the end of the day, what the computer is handling are just numbers. And that's what is going to be treated by our algorithm. Let's present now the results. This figure shows the comparative test error result as a function of the fraction of noise. The results are shown for three different sizes of the training data: 20%, 50%, and 100%. Bootstrapping was used to compute the confidence interval around the mean for 1,000 times. 10 samples were randomly drawn with repeats from the available samples, and the mean was computed. The confidence interval was 95%. The result shows that all the methods that are explicitly aware of the noise in the labels are better than the baseline, which is the standard training approach. The authors, the researchers, revalidated the result reported in Fried et al. In 2014 and showed that the hard version of that method performed better than the soft version. In all cases, the models in this case study performed better than the alternative. In most cases, the complex model was better than the simplex model. In the case where the entire dataset was used for training, we can see from the result that there was a phase transition phenomenon. They obtained almost perfect classification results until the noise level was high and there was a sudden strong performance drop. Analyzing why this effect occurred, they left it for a future work. So, possible alternate solution. These are my critiques for the method utilized in this case study. The expectation maximization algorithm is a greedy optimization procedure that is notoriously known to get stuck in local optimum. Accuracy was the only indicator used to test a solution, but it's not a clear indicator of the performance when classes are in balance. Precision recall curve should have been used instead for this example. And the alternative that I propose is detecting the noise level before training. An example of this approach is the O2UNet algorithm, which only require adjusting the hyperparameters of the deep network to make its status transfer from overfitting to underfitting in a training cycle. Thank you for your time. I hope that you have enjoyed my presentation and that you have a deeper knowledge on how to train deep neural network in the presence of noise labels.